What I'm getting ready to do today is make the back end of my Waverly frame, and I'm using these old rear frame pieces from a Harley pea shooter. And what this is an iron casting, and Harley would slip the tubing from the frame inside the casting. There's a pin that goes in there. They'd drive a pin into it, then they'd braze it all together with a brazing rod. So what I'm going to do is bore out that pin so I can slide my tubing inside the tubing they had. I'm going to use a smaller piece of tubing than they had, and thicker, and slip it into this casting, weld it, and I'll use the factory Harley rear plates that'll make it look real vintage. I've got my axle plates now mocked up on the axle. They're not exactly where I want them, but they're in the general area of where I want to get them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the two top legs first. I'm going to come in, I'm going to bend them. I'm going to actually make them out of solid 3/4 inch steel rod, because I want the small diameter, but I want the strength. Bending this small tubing, if I use tubing instead of solid rod, it's not going to bend the way I want it to bend, so I'm just going to use the solid rod. The frame's so light it's not going to make a difference. So I'm just going to take it and connect it, heat it from here. I'm going to make a bend in here and come in to this lug that I welded to the frame. I'm going to go ahead and make some kind of bending templates for this out of a piece of welding rod. And this guy need to be parallel. There you go. There I have my bends. It's a real, like a wishbone looking bend. It'll give the bike a real neat look to it. I have to really think about where this bottom piece of chain is going to run. And it's going to run here. So I have to connect this frame under here somewhere. So I got to make sure I'm able to come out the side of it on this side. The other side's a cakewalk because there's nothing over there. I don't have to worry about the chain. But this side I have to really think about, really work around this drive, this piece of drive, to make sure I have room to play with. So I'm setting these two rear frame legs. I set them up in the vise side by side. I'll heat them in the spots I want to bend. Looks like it's actually going to work out perfect. I'm just going to sand some of the scale off of this end. I need to do it anyway to get a good weld. I want a good clean weld. So I'll sand some of the scale off and it should be able to slip it right in there. I just made this bottom mount here that's on the transmission, and it's actually going to pivot up. It's going to rotate forward like this. And I'm going to connect this to the frame under here that way, and then I'm going to come off of this mount and connect to the back legs. So a little bit of work here and there. I should be done with getting this back half of this frame on this bike. That's the hardest part of what I had to do today, was get this bend around under there, you know, and get it kind of tacked into place. As you can see, I still got some leeway. I got some movement back here. I can loosen these bolts and let these guys pivot up and down, and I'll do that to get all my true axle plate alignment set. And I'm going to knock the other side out real quick. It should take me about half as long as this side took, because I don't have to go around the chain. Today I've been working on the back half of my 1912 Waverly Keisto frame. I'd done the front half previously, and today I did this whole rear tail section, used some old vintage Harley cast iron axle plates, and made all the connecting links myself. The frame's done. You want to see how this project progresses? Check us out at choppersinc.com. Want to buy a motorcycle business? Anybody? Any takers?